हेलो स्टूडेंट्स। तो इसके पहले वाले वीडियो में हमने देखा था अबाउट 2 and 5 किंगडम क्लासिफिकेशन, राइट? तो अब हम एक एक किंगडम को देखेंगे। सो लेट्स बिगिन विथ मोनेरा। मोनेरा किंगडम, इट एक्सक्लूड्स द मेंबर्स ऑफ मोनेरा किंगडम ऑल बैक्टीरिया। ओके, इनके स्ट्रक्चर क्या होते हैं? यूनिसेल्यूलर सिंपल स्ट्रक्चर, प्रोकैरियोट्स. When I say prokaryotes, you all know that they lack a nuclear membrane. They lack membrane-bound organelles. Clear? Let's look at their cell wall. Cell wall is made of peptidoglycans, which means it's a combination of polysaccharides and amino acids. The genetic material in them. Now, because they do not have a nucleus, genetic material of them consists of a single chromosome, and it is coiled. So if you see the structure of a bacteria, this is a bacterial cell. Genetic material is something like this and it is coiled in a place, और वो जगह थोड़ा सा dense होता है, and that is called a nucleoid. Now let us look at their shapes. Bacteria are known for their diverse kind of shapes. And based on these shapes they are named. उनका नामकरण उनके शेप के ऊपर भी होता है. जैसे जिन बैक्टीरिया का शेप स्फेरिकल है उनको क्या कहते हैं? कॉकस. एग्जाम्पल न्यूमोकॉकस, जिससे निमोनिया होता है. स्टेफाइलोकॉकस एक और है. लेट मी राइट इट फॉर यू. स्टेफाइलोकॉकस. रॉड शेप्ड बैसिलाई, लैक्टोबैसिलस, जिससे दही बनता है. कोमा शेप्ड विब्रियो, विब्रियो कोलेरी इज अ एग्जाम्पल, कॉलेरा करने वाला. स्पाइरल, यू स्पाइरल होता है विथ फ्लैजेला एट द एंड. दे आर स्पाइरुलम, दे आर कॉल्ड स्पाइरुलम. एग्जाम्पल एजोस्पाइरुलम. ओके, नाउ लेट अस लुक एट द रिप्रोडक्शन. रिप्रोडक्शन asexual, these two are asexual. Usually bacteria reproduce by fission. Now fission is different from a mitotic cell division. How? Like this is the cell, the nuclear material starts doubling, it starts elongating, and then the cell pinches. Okay, it's something like this. Let me draw it here. Like this is the bacteria, this is the nuclear material. Okay, क्या होता है? It starts elongating, duplicating and elongating, and in the next stage the cell just pinches off. Clear? This is fission in bacteria. And when the conditions are not favorable, they produce spores. यहाँ पे मैंने UF condition छोटे से लिखा है, lack of space. And they do not have any sex organs as such. Sexual organ reproduction वैसे दिखने को नहीं मिलता. But some bacteria show a primitive kind of a DNA transfer. क्या होता है? The bacteria of different strain, they come together, okay, and DNA transfer होता है. The बीच का wall is gets गायब and then the DNA is transferred. Okay, these are some of the general features of bacteria. So bacteria are simple in structure, but what is very interesting in them is their metabolism. Okay, and places where they are found. तो अब हम देखते हैं about their habitats and their nutrition. Okay, so habitats आपके बुक में भी है, found almost everywhere. तो शायद ही कोई ऐसा जगह हो where bacteria will not be found या bacteria cannot survive. Okay, कहाँ पे? Let's begin with soil. आप garden से मुट्ठी भर soil ले लो, you'll find thousands of bacteria there. Desert पे हो सकता है. Hot springs, पानी बहुत गर्म, high acidity there. Oceans, snow. As a parasite, it will grow in something else. Okay, ये हर जगह है bacteria. their nutrition. Now nutrition may they show both heterotrophy as well as autotrophy. Let's look at them. Largely, most of the bacteria are heterotrophic. Okay, largely heterotrophic. कैसा? Saprophytes देखने को मिलता है, parasitic देखने को मिलता है, symbiosis देखने को मिलता है. Parasitic where like they can be parasite to plants, humans, animals. Okay. Symbiosis where in junior classes you have read in the nodules of leguminous plants, the bacteria rhizobia. That is one of the examples, right? और भी examples है like in the roots of cycas, colloid root जिसे बोलते हैं. It's a root and the blue-green algae present in the roots. They help in fixation of nitrogen. Now let's look at autotrophic mode of nutrition. अपना खाना खुद बनाना, right? दोनों तरीके से होता है ये है, photosynthetic as well as chemosynthetic. So photosynthetic means what? They are going to make their food in presence of light, right? यहाँ पे no light requirement. So that is the difference number 1. अब photosynthetic में भी aerobic and anaerobic. Now what is aerobic? Aerobic वो है which gives out oxygen during photosynthesis, and anaerobic cross किया हुआ है, right? No oxygen. All right, no oxygen for clarity. No oxygen given out. They are anaerobic but photosynthetic. Aerobic हमें कहाँ देखने को मिलता है? Blue green algae या the cyanobacteria. These were earlier placed under algae. Remember Nostoc and Avena? वही अब bacteria पे आ गया है. They are prokaryotes. They are the only aerobic bacteria. They give out oxygen, and they contain the chloropigment chlorophyll A. Chlorophyll A is a photosynthetic pigments that can be seen in all higher plants. Clear है? Now, where can we see anaerobic photosynthesis? In purple and green sulfur bacteria. They do photosynthesize. In presence of sunlight, they do not give out oxygen. Why? अब उसमें अभी बोलूंगी, but उससे पहले देख लेते कि इनमें pigments क्या है. They don't have chlorophyll A. Instead, they have bacteriopurpurin and bacterioviridin. अब ये ऑक्सीजन देता है, ये ऑक्सीजन नहीं, primarily because they split water. You know, in photosynthesis, oxygen जो आता है वो पानी से आता है. The water is split, the oxygen is given out, right? यहाँ पे they don't split water. Rather, they use compounds like H2S, okay, as a source of electrons. Clear है? ये अभी this will not be very clear to you, but in the chapter photosynthesis, you will get to know about splitting of water. Okay? So ये हो गया aerobic and anaerobic. Let's come to chemosynthetic bacteria. They also make their food, they also synthesize ATP, but from inorganic substrates like nitrates, nitrites, ammonia. They don't need sunlight, they don't need it, any of these things. ये अपना खाना बनाते हैं without sunlight and they use inorganic substrates. So with this we are done with the general features of Monera. इसके बाद there are two groups. One is the Archaebacteria and there is the Eubacteria. Archaebacteria नाम पे ही है archae. Archae means what? Very old or primitive. Like they are said to be the first colonizers of the earth. जब earth नया नया था, when it was new, like the atmosphere was very hostile, right? The first colonizers of earth were Archaebacteria. Yeah, so now let us look at the two groups, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. तो Archaebacteria को primitive bacteria कहते हैं because they were the first colonizers. They can survive in very extreme conditions. Okay? देख लेते हैं इनके एक-एक features. मैंने दोनों को पास-पास रखा है so that it's easy for you to remember. इनके habitats क्या है? जैसे thermoacidophiles. The bacteria which survives in hot spring. अब hot spring में what is the condition? High temperature, low pH. High temperature मतलब गर्म, low pH means it's going to be acidic. pH up to 2 पे ये survive कर सकते हैं. One of the example is thermoplasma. Clear? फिर हेलोफाइल्स, जहां पे सॉल्ट का कंसंट्रेशन बहुत 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 ज्यादा है, जैसे सॉल्ट लेक्स. ओके, हेलोकॉकस इज वन एग्जांपल. मिथेनोजन, दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. अ ग्रुप ऑफ बैक्टीरिया विच ग्रो इन मार्शी एरियाज, प्लस कहां पाया जाता है? इन गट ऑफ रूमिनेंट्स. रूमिनेंट्स मतलब द कैटल्स लाइक काउ, बफेलो विच च्यू द कड. राइट? करते क्या है? मिथेनोजन, दे प्रोड्यूस मीथेन गैस इन मार्शी एरियाज एज वेल एज इन द गट ऑफ रूमिनेंट कैटल्स. गोबर से जो गैस बनता है, जो मीथेन बनता है, इट इज प्राइमरीली बिकॉज ऑफ दिस bacteria called methanogens, and methanogens are archaebacteria. So in these three examples, can you see the extreme conditions in which they can survive? Comparatively, if we come to eubacteria, they are called true bacteria and they are found in general places like soil, parasite, desert. यहाँ मिल जाएगा. Clear है? But these are champions of extreme habitats. इनके और इनके सेल वॉल पे डिफरेंस है. द सेल वॉल दैट दे हैव इज नॉट ऑफ पेप्टिडोग्लाइकन और सेल्यूलोज बट ऑफ अ कंपाउंड कॉल्ड NAT, N-acetylsamunaric acid. क्लियर? अब ट्रू बैक्टीरिया, इनका शेप और सेल वॉल कैसा होता है? दे हैव अ वेरी रिजिड सेल वॉल विच इज मेड अप ऑफ पेप्टिडोग्लाइकन, पेप्टाइड्स प्लस पॉलीसैकेराइड्स. If the bacteria is mobile, मैं इधर आ जाती हूँ. If the bacteria is motile, then they are going to have flagella. The exceptional bacteria or the bacteria which are non-motile are the blue-green algae like Anabaena and Nostoc. फिर some of the blue-green algae, usually bacteria are unicellular, right? मैं यहाँ ड्रॉ करती हूँ. Unicellular. But some of the bacteria like heterocyst and nostoc, कभी कभी वो एक filamentous form ले लेते हैं. Like many of the cells they come together and they get enclosed in gelatinous sheath. ये gelatinous sheath है, right? और उस filament के बीच में एक structure होता है which is called the heterocyst. These heterocysts are responsible for fixing nitrogen. तो blue green algae में क्या क्या खासियत है? They are aerobic photosynthetic. Not just photosynthetic, aerobic photosynthetic. Aerobic photosynthetic है तो they have chlorophyll A. They fix nitrogen. They are non-motile bacteria. This means they are the eubacteria which lack flagellum. These are the three distinctive features of blue-green algae which keep them apart from rest of the eubacteria. Clear? अब chemosynthetic bacteria, they make their food but they do not fix oxygen. What do? They help in cycling of minerals and elements like nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus. Okay, they have a very important role there. So with this we are mostly done with the two groups, archaebacteria and eubacteria. अब हम बैक्टीरिया का significance देखते हैं. Significance means what? The positive as well as the negative sides. Negative देख लेते हैं, फिर positive. We'll end it on a positive note. Parasitic, so they are disease causing. They result in spoilage of food. Other materials like leather खराब करते हैं, right? फिर और क्या है negative में? Yes, the blue-green algae. Sometimes in polluted water बहुत ज़्यादा grow करते हैं and they form this algal blooms. That's also a very negative effect of bacteria. और disease causing तो है ही, whether it is human, animal, plants, ये किसी को नहीं छोड़ते, हर जगह disease करते हैं, right? The parasitic ones. And the good ones, the positive side of the bacteria is that they are decomposers. Saprophytic तो they are growing on dead organic materials. तो इसी से जो organic जो decomposition हो रहा है, they help in that. Not just organic, they also help in the recycling of inorganic substances like sulfur, nitrogen, phosphorus. Clear? They help in fixing nitrogen. That helps many plants, many crops. फिर they have some good uses, domestic uses, जैसे making of curd, then acetic acid. फिर है antibiotics. Some bacteria are helpful in making antibiotics. Okay. So with methanogens, methane, gobar gas, then they are helped. They are used in sewage treatment. Okay, they help in breaking down the sewage material. Clear hai? So these are some of the negative as well as positive aspects of bacteria. Bacteria, archaebacteria and eubacteria. There is one more which is mycoplasma. Who discovered mycoplasma? Let's see. It was discovered by E. Nocard and E. R. Roux. Mycoplasma is also called PPLO. इन्होंने इसे डिस्कवर किया था इन कैटल्स. Who was the cattle that were suffering from disease called pleuropneumonia. Pleuropneumonia means हमारे लंग के ऊपर 2 layers होते हैं, which are called the pleural membrane. So those cattle were suffering from the disease pleuropneumonia, और वहां के fluid से this was found to be the causative organism. इसीलिए माइकोप्लाज्मा को PPLO भी कहते हैं, pleuropneumonia like organism. Okay, they are smaller than bacteria, without the cell wall, prokaryote है, anaerobic है. So अगर MCQ आ जाए कि prokaryote anaerobic organism without the cell wall, your answer will be mycoplasma, or the smallest living organism. Okay, or the smallest living organism that is smaller than bacteria. Answer would be mycoplasma. Their nutrition, they are all heterotrophs, and many of them are parasitic to animals and plants. With this we are done with Monera. इसके बाद है Protista. Okay? Okay, तो अब हम देखते हैं Protista. So Protista में what were placed? All single eukaryotes. Okay? Unicellular. Single cell means unicellular prokaryotes. But boundaries not well defined. This line is also there in your, this line is also there in your textbook. What does this mean? इसका मतलब ये है कि the organisms that are here, biologists may still continue to argue, say for example eugenia, कि ये नहीं एक protista ही है, and someone may still argue कि no, because it is photosynthetic, so it's better that we keep it in plant. So that place is still open. That is why it is said boundary is not well defined. Clear? And Protista is also said to, जैसे जब हम 5 kingdom कर रहे थे, phylogenetic relationships were studied, and Protista are also said to form a link between the lower groups and the higher groups. कैसे? Protista के नीचे क्या है? Monera, which is prokaryote. Protista is eukaryote, right? अब यहाँ से जो heterotrophic holozoic हुआ, that's the animalia line. Heterotrophic but absorptive kind of a nutrition, that was fungi. Autotrophic, photosynthetic were plants. Okay, so Monera, Protista, and then 3 line goes. But let's look now here in this one. So they are all single cell eukaryotic, boundaries not well defined, primarily aquatic. Mostly water bodies में ही होंगे, या तो फिर ऐसी जगह पे होगा जहां पे थोड़ा सा पानी हो. Reproduction in general, Protista, asexual, sexual दोनों ही दिखाते हैं. Reproduction is by cell fusion and zygote formation. Cells fuse over, so the next step is zygote formation, right? First group, that is there are 5 groups. First group is chrysophytes. Chrysophytes में what are the members? Golden algae, जिसे desmids भी बोलते हैं, and diatoms. They are found in fresh water. FW is fresh water as well as marine water. अब marine में they are called chief producers of oceans. What does this mean? कि बहुत photosynthetic, मतलब they are the at the base of the food chain, photosynthetic, right? अब यहाँ पे one special thing about chrysophytes is the diatoms. Why? Because of their cell wall. Let's look there. इनका cell wall is of a structure of a soap box. क्लियर? जैसे सोप बॉक्स होता है, ऊपर का ढक्कन नीचे वाले केस पे लग जाता है, वैसे ही दे फिट इनटू ईच अदर. एंड इन दिस सेल वॉल्स सिलिका इज देयर. ये पूरे सेल वॉल इज इम्प्रेग्नेटेड विद सिलिका. जैसे मोजाइक होता है ना, वैसे ही पूरे सेल वॉल पे इनके सिलिका ही है. सो व्हाट हैपेंस ओवर द बिलियंस ऑफ इयर्स, जैसे जैसे ये मरते गए, दे डाइड, बट द सेल वॉल्स वेर indestructible. Why? Because of the presence of silica. तो इनके cell walls at the bottom of the ocean, they started depositing, and over all these billions of years they have formed something called as diatomaceous earth. What is diatomaceous earth? It is the remnant of the cell walls of diatoms which are silica. Silica है तो it's going to be grainy in texture, right? And that earth is called diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth is very useful in industries for things like polishing, filtering. Okay, तो ये हो गया the brief account of Protista in general, and then the first group which is chrysophytes. अब हम अगला ग्रुप देखते हैं which is dinoflagellates. Dinoflagellates यानी flagella है, right? चलिए देखते हैं. So now let's see in details about dinoflagellates. Like I had told, dinoflagellates means what? Indication है in the name only that it is going to be flagellate, right? तो देखते हैं where are they found there. Some of their general characteristics. Dinoflagellates, they are mostly marine. इसके पहले हमने जो पढ़ा था chrysophytes, they were marine as well as fresh water. Means the distribution was quite बराबर, same if not exactly the same. मतलब fresh waters भी काफी थे. यहाँ पे when it is written mostly marine, it means fresh waters are extremely rare. Okay, they are photosynthetic, unicellular, flagella है तो motile होना ही है, right? So they are motile and biflagellate, by दो flagella. Their color varies from yellow, green, blue and red. मैंने रेड को स्पेसिफिकली एनसर्कल किया हुआ है because we are going to read about it now. One of the interesting features of them is their cell wall. You see I have written cellulosic and pectin plates. उनका स्ट्रक्चर हम अभी देखते हैं. So they are unicellular. इनके सेल प्लेट्स कैसे होते हैं? Is it visible large enough? और बड़ा करके ड्रॉ करती हूँ. Wait. These are the cell plates. यहाँ पे these are the cell plates. Okay, and they are made of cellulose and pectin. बीच में एक फरो सा है. Let me make it more here like this. Yeah, furrow, खड्डा सा. And from this furrow, two flagella come out. One is longitudinal. अब इनका भी जो है flagella is not the same. Both the flagella, one is longitudinal ऐसा, दूसरा बिल्कुल perpendicular to this, so it would be something like this, or you can imagine it perpendicular है तो it's actually like this. Okay, so two unequal flagella, one longitudinal, one transverse, coming out from where? From the furrow. Where is the furrow? In between the two cell plates. और cell plates made of what? Cellulose and pectin. So I have written, आपके किताब में भी है कि they show different colors. What do these colors depend on? It depends on the pigments that they have. Distribution of pigment और कितना है. उसमें से red को मैंने specifically यहाँ पे encircle किया हुआ है because there is a mention of the species Gonaiolax. This जब ये समंदर में बहुत ज्यादा मल्टीप्लाई कर जाते हैं, they contain a red pigment which gives red appearance to the tides, to the waves. Okay, they are responsible for that red color of the sea. But खाली pigmentation ही नहीं, they also produce toxins. So when they grow too much in number, what happens is that ये जो toxins produce करते हैं, they kill the marine organisms, especially the fishes. So the toxins produced by Gonaiolax is toxic to the marine animals, and they give red color to the sea, to the waves when they multiply a lot. Reproduction इनमें asexual, sexual किसी किसी में देखा जाता है. Asexual reproduction is by cell division. Okay, and sexual reproduction कुछ dinoflagellates में, in some, and what type? Iso as well as anisogamous. So यही है इनका general features, and this is all about them. The one thing that you need to remember is this name, the red color that they produce, because बहुत बार MCQs में आता है कि which of the following is responsible for red appearance of the sea? Gonaiolax, and that's a dinoflagellate. Okay, and then also important is that biflagellate नाम पे है. Remember that both the flagellas are not of equal length, neither orientation. दोनों दो तरफ है. Okay, perpendicular. One is going this way और दूसरा ऐसा है, transverse, and they are coming from the furrow in between the cell plates. Now let us look at the next one, which is euglenoid. Clear? So the next is euglenoids. Euglenoids कहाँ पाए जाते हैं? Let's look at the habitat. Fresh water but stagnant. In case some student has a confusion कि fresh water but stagnant का क्या मतलब? Just to clear the confusion, fresh water and marine के बीच what is the difference? It is that marine पे the salt concentration is very high, or salt water. What is fresh water? Any water where the salt concentration is zero, not zero, or very less. Okay, that falls under the category of fresh water. Fresh water does not have to be always flowing. तो इसीलिए जहां पे ठहराव है, like drains, polluted water, जहां पे the water is not flowing, that is stagnant. And fresh. Why fresh? Because salt concentration is negligible. Biflagellate, इनमें भी दो flagella होते हैं, but they are unequal. What is interesting about them is their cell wall. अब तक हम क्या क्या पढ़े हैं? Chrysophytes and dinoflagellates. They had cell walls, right? Strong one, एक में था like a soap box with silica. The other was cellulosic and pectin, like armored plate. इनमें cell wall नहीं होता. Cell wall absent. Instead, they have a layer of protein which is called pellicle. Okay, that layer gives them the flexibility. Why? Because they show contractile movement. यूं धीरे धीरे ऐसे चलते हैं. And pellicle layer, the proteinaceous layer which we call pellicle, gives them that flexibility. जैसे हम एक एग्जाम्पल ले लेते हैं यूग्लेना का. दूसरा इन पे है, the very interesting feature is that they are photosynthetic only in presence of light. When there is no light, they become heterotrophic, and then they would feed on any smaller beings that they find which are smaller in size, which they can take, right? तो इनके दो important और interesting features है. The cell wall is absent. Instead, a proteinaceous layer called pellicle is present. Oops, my diagrams are not very good. They're horrible, but I hope I can still manage to give you the sense of what it means. Like, okay, so this is the pellicle. ये यहाँ पे दो flagella. Can you see them? Here they have the photoreceptor to receive the light. These are the contractile vacuoles. Chloroplast. That is what makes them. Let me see if I can get another marker. Chloroplast. Okay, this is the nucleus. यहाँ पे भी contractile vacuole and they have other cell organelles. Clear है? So euglenoids are what? They are fresh water but found in stagnant. They are photosynthetic only in presence of light, but when there is no light, they become heterotrophic. Very interesting feature. They do not have cell wall. Instead, they have a protein layer which called pellicle, which surrounds their body. दो flagella होते हैं. The flagella are unequal. Now let's go to the next group, which is slime molds. Slime molds is very interesting. अब तक हम जो पढ़ते आ रहे हैं, they were all photosynthetic. This was somewhere in between, photosynthetic as well as heterotrophic. Next, slime molds are completely saprophytic. Okay, that's the protozoa which is exclusively saprophytic. Slime molds. Let me write it here. They are found on dead decaying matter, जहां पे पानी होता है. They lack cell wall. Okay, and whenever the conditions are favorable, जैसे जहां पे पत्ती सड़ रहे हो जंगल के अंदर या सड़ा हुआ लकड़ी हो, the trunk of the tree, they grow and they make this huge colonies called plasmodium. Do not confuse this plasmodium with the sporozoan that causes malaria. This is a large colony. नीचे, say for example, these are the dead leaves. Okay. इनमें भी सेल वॉल नहीं होता, but when conditions are not favorable, they reproduce by spores. That is when this structure disappears and they form these spores. नीचे, these are the dead leaves. Okay, on this very structure they form these spores with stalk. Here you will be able to see cell walls. Okay, अब जब how are they dispersed? Under strong wind currents. They are dispersed by air. Once they are dispersed, they will be carried to a new location, and when the conditions are favorable, they will again form a huge colony called plasmodium. So interesting features here are non-photosynthetic, but cell wall is absent in the body, only found in the spores. Clear hai? Now let us go to the next group, which is protozoans. Okay. So now the last group, which is protozoans. Protozoans का interesting fact is that they all are heterotrophs. अब heterotrophs either predator or parasites. Okay. This group is further divided into 4 subgroups. Let us look at them. Amoeboid, protozoa, flagellated protozoans, ciliated protozoan and sporozoans. एक एक करके देखते हैं. Amoeboid means what? जिनमें amoeba, pseudopodia like amoeboid movement हो. Their distribution found in fresh water as well as marine or moist habitats, जहां पे पानी हो. Flagellated ones are either free living or parasite. Ciliated ones aquatic, सारे के सारे aquatic. Sporose ones are known for an infectious phase in their life. Like if, say for example, this is their life cycle, okay? Eggs, larva, another stage. Only one phase of their entire life cycle is infectious and it causes infectious only during this phase. इस फेज पे या इस फेज पे अगर आपके बॉडी में आ जाता है, so it will not cause the infection. It has to enter your body at this phase. That is the special character of sporozoans. Now amoeboid, they have cell wall, the marine ones, they have silica in the marine cell wall, marine amoeboid cell walls. जो समंदर में होता है उन amoeboid protozoans के cell wall पे सिलिका होता है. इसके अलावा सिलिका हमने कौन से वाले में देखा था ग्रुप में? क्राइसोफाइट्स, राइट? द डायटम्स के सेल वॉल पे सिलिका होता है. सो वन इज डायटम्स, अनदर इज द मराइन amoeboid protozoans. They move by pseudopodia. You all have seen, like, can I rub this? Like this is an amoeba, right? It does not have a specific shape. इनके अंदर contractile vacuoles होते हैं. They help in producing this pseudopodia. Pseudopodia means what? False leg. Podia is leg. Then another one is here. In the next step, you would see this has gone in, this has come out. Okay? ऐसे चलते हैं. And every time they move, these contractile vacuoles cause this kind of a movement to produce, they contract to produce this pseudopodia. Important examples are amoeba and entamoeba. Entamoeba is the one that causes dysentery in human beings. Flagellated protozoan, नाम पे ही है flagella. Flagellated, तो flagella होना ही है, right? These are the ones with flagella, one flagella. Okay, important example is trypanosoma. This is responsible for causing sleeping sickness in human beings. Ciliated are aquatic. Gullet means what? उनके body में cavity है, which in will like when they ingest some food, it is there in the body cavity. You cannot see them in amoeba or sporozoans or here. They have this specific feature where like they have a mouth-like structure and then it leads to a cavity which we call the gullet. And they have many cilia on their surface which helps them in movement. Example, paramecium. देख लेते हैं. Paramecium's shape is like a slipper. Right? This is the oral groove. जैसे यूं है ना, like 3D समझो तो यहाँ पे कुछ groove सा है. This is where the mouth is located. Okay. This is their buccal cavity. They have many cilia on their body. Interesting features of paramecium is one anterior contractile vacuole and one posterior. This is the buccal cavity. They have two nucleus. One is the macronucleus. Another is the micronucleus. They too have a pellicle-like layer which helps them in being flexible. Okay? And in sporozoans, just I said that they have the entire life cycle में एक phase आता है which is infectious. At that phase only they can cause infection. Plasmodium is a very important example and very notorious sporozoan which is responsible for causing malaria. This is the brief account of the protozoans that is given in your book. With this, we are done with the protozoans. Now we will move on to the next kingdom, which is fungi. Okay. So now let us look at fungi. The kingdom fungi. तो इससे पहले हमने क्या देखा था? प्रोटिस्टा. In protista, some were chlorophyllous, some were not, some were photosynthetic, some were not. इसमें this group is exclusively without chlorophyll or achlorophyllous, right? Achlorophyllous. अब achlorophyllous है, what does that mean? Autotrophic होने से रहे, they are not going to make their own food. They are not chemosynthetic also at the same time, because you can argue photosynthetic नहीं है तो क्या हुआ? Chemosynthetic तो हो सकता है, like Monera, right? इसी तरह से revision भी हो जाता है, right? When I say if they are not autotrophic, what if they are not photosynthetic, but without photosynthesis also you can be autotrophic. Where do we get to see? Monera, right? So they are all heterotrophs. Heterotrophs. Parasite. Saprophyte. और symbiosis. Symbiosis कहाँ देखने को मिलता है? Lichen is a combination of what? Algae plus fungi. दूसरा है, you can find them in the roots of pine tree. Roots of Pinus. And what is that called? Mycorrhiza. Okay. Achlorophyllous heterotrophs in cell wall. Cell wall is not of cellulose but of a different polysaccharide called chitin. Okay. They are mostly filamentous. The yeast is an exception, which is unicellular. Unicellular or multicellular body type. Okay, I am writing the body type. Loose tissue. Let's first look into this in general and then we will look into their reproduction. So up the clear hai, fungi is what? Achlorophyllous, which means heterotrophs, parasite, हो सकते हैं saprophyte या symbiosis. Cell wall is of chitin, body either unicellular like yeast or most of them are multicellular loose tissue like. Let us look into their tissue structure first. They are multicellular, thin filamentous. This is one single filament. This is called what? Hypha. Okay? When there is a collection of more than one hypha, all coming together. They form a crisscross. Okay, जैसे रुई होता है ना, like a ball of a cotton, and that collection of hypha is called mycelium. Now let us look into the structure of the hypha. It can be of two types. In some hypha, they divide, the cells divide. This is the cell wall. Cells keep dividing. The external side of the cell walls are formed. जो नहीं form होता is the partition. Partition is called septa, right? Because no partition is formed, this kind of hypha are called aseptate hypha. And this looks like a huge mass of protoplasm. Huge mass of protoplasm in which many nuclei are floating. And such a condition is called what? Cenocytic. Ceno means nuclei. Cytic is cell. And we get to see this kind of hypha in phycomycetes only. Okay. Rest are all septate. Septate में क्या होता है? The cell walls divide on all the sides. They form this septa too. Okay. This is called septate. Clear hai? So hypha is of two types. Aseptate. In aseptate, we get to see cenocytic condition. Or if the septa or the partition is formed, they are called septate. Septate hypha. Now let us look into their vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction may take place by many methods. One of the common method is fragmentation. उसमें क्या होता है? This would break and then this would give rise to a new hypha. Fragmentation. Budding. Budding is seen in yeast. Okay. Junior classes may you have seen, but still I would like to draw one for you. Like this is a yeast. A bud starts to form here. Bud means what? A cully, right? So they are the cully of the fungus. Is it so? They grow in size and then they fall off the parent, and this is how they produce vegetatively. And then in some you can also see fission. Now let us look into their asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is going to be by spores. But spores are of many different types here. Like zoospores, sporangiospores. Or let me write it this way. Okay, that's okay. Sporangiospores, conidia. These are the three common type of spores we get to see. Zoospores, that is in the name. Zoo means what? Animal, तो motile होना है, right? Motile. How? Flagella. So these are uniflagellate spores produced within a spore body, which is called the zoosporangium. These are the zoospores. Or this is the body, sporangium, zoosporangium. Since zoospores are enclosed in a body, their origin is of endogenous type. Endogenous. Clear? Now let us look at sporangiospores. Sporangiospores are non-motile. Non-motile है तो no flagella. Non-motile. Produced inside what? Sporangiums. Produced inside sporangium. This is the sporangium. These are the spores. Okay. And then conidia. Okay, this also, since it is enclosed in a body, this is also endogenous. Conidia का देखते हैं कैसा होता है. This is the conidiophore. Conidiophore is nothing but the stalk. Okay. This is the conidiophore. These are the conidia. So what are the differences that you can see in the structure between zoosporangium, sporangium and conidia? Conidia किसी body के अंदर नहीं होता. They are open. They are born on conidiophores. So that is why they are exogenous. Clear? So asexual reproduction takes place by many spores, 3 of which are zoospores, sporangiospores and conidia, and these are the differences. 2 are endogenous, conidia is exogenous. Just याद रखना कि which is exogenous, that is conidia. बाकी के दो ऑटोमेटिकली दिमाग में फिट हो जाए कि they are endogenous. अलग अलग से याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Now let us look at their sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction here takes place by the fusion of either gametes or hypha of opposite strains. इनका क्या होता है? Let us take 2 gametes, okay, and I'll take both hypha as well as gametes. Let me take 2 different ink. अयो, एक रसगुल्ला नहीं बनता. So first step in sexual reproduction is what? Fusion of either gametes or hypha. फिर क्या होता है? They fuse. Fusion has taken place. What has fused? Not all the structures within the gametes. Only the protoplasts have fused. यहाँ पे भी खाली protoplasts fuse हुए हैं. So the next step is called plasmogamy. What is plasmogamy? Fusion of the protoplast. अब यहाँ से the next phase, the next destiny, and the final destiny is what? अब दोनों को एक ही कलर से कर देती हूँ. फ्यूजन हो चुका है. ओके, बाय द वे वन थिंग आई थिंक आई डिडंट मेंशन, बॉडी ऑफ फंगस इज हैप्लॉइड. तो गैमेट्स जो भी प्रोड्यूस होंगे दे विल बी प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय माइटोसिस. ओके, दिस इज एन 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 एन. अब यहाँ पे द न्यूक्लियस, बोथ द न्यूक्लियई हैव फ्यूज्ड. This is called karyogamy. In some fungi, plasmogamy is immediately followed by karyogamy, but some take a detour. They take their time, थोड़ा नखरा दिखाते हैं. What do they do? Like this is the zygote, but दो न्यूक्लियई अलग अलग रहते हैं. They don't fuse. फ्यूज तो अल्टीमेटली करेंगे बट आफ्टर सम टाइम. दिस इंटरवेनिंग फेज, द फेज इज कॉल्ड डाइकैरियोफेज. क्लियर? दिस इज सीन इन एस्कोमाइसिटिस, बेसिडियोमाइसिटिस एंड ड्यूटेरोमाइसिटिस. फाइकोमाइसिटिस में सीधा. ओके, नाउ द zygote, it is twice in, but it has to give rise to fungal body which is going to be haploid. So meiosis takes place here. ये जो nuclei है, they undergo meiosis to produce spores which will give rise to the fungal body. These spores are born on special fruiting bodies. Okay, fruiting bodies के बारे में हम जब families को पढ़ेंगे, like Basidiomycetes, Ascomycetes, then we will look into the structure of the fruiting bodies because they are specific for specific groups. So is the sexual reproduction clear in fungi? First step, fusion. Second step, plasmogamy. Final step is karyogamy. But in some, they take a detour where the nuclei remains suspended within the fused protoplast. And that phase is called dichary phase. Am I clear? समझा पा रही हूँ, समझ रहे हो ये? This is the basic framework of the sexual structure. Zygote form हो गया, meiosis zygote पे होता है, and these spores are born inside some fruiting bodies. और फिर वहां से fungal body. Right? Now let us look into the individual groups. First is Phycomycetes. Hypha structure is aseptate. Heterophytics, sapro. Parasites भी होता है कुछ. So cynocytic condition and aseptate hyphae we can see here. Vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation or fission. Asexual reproduction takes place by two of the spores. या तो zoospore हो सकता है which is motile. Asexual reproduction by zoospores which are motile, or aplanospores. Aplanospores means what? Non-motile spores. Aplanospores. हमने जो sporangium का structure देखा था ना, अभी तो sporangiosspores वही है, non-motile. This is the diagram. आपके किताब में तो है नहीं. This is the diagram. हाँ, तो ये because these two are what? Endogenous, right? And I don't know. Sexual reproduction by anisogamous, anisogamy or oogamy. Let us look at the few important examples. Rhizopus, the braid mold. Mucor, albugo. This albugo, shit. This is a parasite on mustard plant. Okay? या तो फिर you can remember it as ram memory. Rhizopus, albugo and mucor. This is the common bread mold. Bread को अगर आप कहीं पे भी छोड़ दे in warm and moist damp place, you see the fungus, right? That is Rhizopus. It's very common. Albugo is the parasitic one, and then mucor. With this we are done with Phycomycetes. Now let's go to the next group, which is Ascomycetes. Ascomycetes, the name comes from the word asci. What does asci mean? Asci means sac-like, thैली जैसा, bag-like. Okay. Ascomycetes. Main difference, they are septate. Okay, so the hypha is septate. Unicellular, yeast, or multicellular. If multicellular, septate hyphae. Parasitic या saprophytic, सड़े गले चीजों पे. Interesting thing is they are also coprophilous. Coprophilous means the ones which grow on cow dung, gobar pe, coprophilous. Now let us look at the vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction takes place with the help of fragmentation and asexual spores. यहाँ पे the asexual reproduction takes place with the help of spores called conidia. याद है मैंने कोनिडिया अभी एक्सप्लेन किया था. दे आर स्पोर्स विच आर नॉट बोर्न इनसाइड एनी fruiting body, any spore body. So they are out in the open. Conidia. तो क्या है? Exogenous. So in the previous group we had read asexual reproduction was endogenous. Here it is exogenous. Sexual reproduction by fusion of gametes. So I just explained fusion of gametes, plasmogamy. Here you get to see dikaryophase. Clear? And then karyogamy happens, and after karyogamy, the zygote forms. The spores are born on special fruiting body called asci. देख लेते हैं कैसा है उनका structure. Like so I have explained the sexual reproduction till how the zygote is formed, right? उसके बाद मैंने कहा था कि the fruiting bodies differ in different groups. So let us look at that difference. उसके पहले का structure तो it's already explained. Like this. ये सारे के सारे mycelium. These are all mycelium. So the zygote gives rise to spores inside special fruiting body. ये और भी close कर देते, which are called asci. Asci is bag-like, and these are the spores. और ये asci are born on a fruiting body. This fruiting body is called ascocarp. Hence the name ascomycetes. Okay. Now let us look at some of the important examples. एक तो हो गया yeast. Yeast is very useful in making bread. Yeast, penicillium, antibiotic, right? Aspergillus, claviceps, Monascus purpurea, Neurospora. Quite a few. Truffles and morels, they are the generic name. Truffles, morels. ये edible and highly edible delicacies. Highly priced delicacies. Yeast, unicellular. Yeast is very useful in making bread, fermentation. Penicillium for antibiotics. Aspergillus, it's another important one. Like Aspergillus niger is sometimes used in making of citric acid. Claviceps, this is parasitic. Monascus purpurea is another fungi, very important member of this group. It is helped in making statin drugs. Okay. Neurospora, this is very important. This is called the Drosophila of fungi. Do you know why? जितने भी genetic experiments होते हैं, good number of them are done on Drosophila. Neurospora is also one fungi which has been used very extensively for genetic works, for studying genetics. So this one, and truffles and morels are the delicacies, edible delicacies of this group Ascomycetes. अब हम देखते हैं Basidiomycetes. Basidiomycetes, the name comes from their fruiting body which is called basidium. हम देखेंगे जब sexual reproduction करेंगे. They are saprophytic decomposers. They have a very important role to play in the decomposing, especially of wood, because they can digest especially wood, lignin. They can digest lignin. Lignin. Clear? Their mycelium is septate, branched. Hypha is septate, branched. Okay. Have you ever seen fungi on tree like this? You bracket jasa, they grow. In jungles and all you may see. So they bracket fungi. Mushroom. Mushroom तो सभी ने देखा होगा, right? Toadstool. This is edible. Not all species of mushroom. Some species. Toadstools. ये भी आपने देखा होगा gardens में काफी common है. So that is Basidiomycetes. इनमें vegetative reproduction occurs by fragmentation. VR by fragmentation. Asexual reproduction as such देखने को नहीं मिलता. Sexual reproduction is very interesting here, and here sexual reproduction occurs by the fusion of two hyphae of different strains. Okay, मैं समझा चुकी हूँ already. They fuse. यहाँ पे भी after plasmogamy dikaryophase देखने को मिलता है. So dikaryophase. Is a part of the sexual reproduction. Okay. So Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes में dikaryophase देखने को मिलता है. The zygote gives rise to spores inside special fruiting bodies called basidium. We all have seen a mushroom, right? Mushroom is what? Agaricus. If you look at the underside of the mushroom, you'd be able to see partitions like this. Okay? So if you look, ये basidiocarp हो गया. If you look on the underneath, you will see several partition-like structures. यहाँ पे you would see this body is called basidium. और basidium के ऊपर the spores, which are called basidiospores. So these are diospores. These are the basidium, and this is produced in basidiocarp. Since these are born outside of our body, they are exogenous. So Ascomyces में क्या था? Sexual reproduction was endogenous. इसमें sexual reproduction is exogenous. So out of Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes, the vegetative reproduction the asexual reproduction is endogenous in Phycomycetes, exogenous in Ascomycetes, absent in Basidiomycetes. Sexual reproduction is exogenous here, बाकी दोनों में they are endogenous. Now, इनके important examples कहाँ पे लिखूं? Agaricus, the mushroom that we eat. Agaricus, Ustilago, causes smut, okay, of plants. Puccinia, rust. This causes the disease rust in plants. So with these three examples, we are done with Basidiomycetes. इसके बाद देखते हैं Deuteromycetes. Deuteromycetes is the imperfect fungi because उनमें जो भी अभी है, the members, their sexual reproduction phase is not known. Once they are known, उनको according to the way they produce sexually they are placed either into ascomycetes या basidiomycetes. Deuteromycetes देखते हैं. Deuteromycetes, because only vegetative reproduction and asexual reproduction are known. What about the body structure? Septate, branched, right? Why they are called? This is the reason. Only this is known. Septate. Asexual reproduction takes place by conidia. So ये फिर से exogenous हो गया, right? And vegetative always by fragmentation. So they are also saprophytic. Now let us look at जैसे sexual reproduction पता चलता है इन्हें कहीं और भेज दिया जाता है. You don't belong to us anymore. Important example: CAT, cat, बिल्ली, coletotrichum, trichum, alternaria, trichoderma. Clear? So with this we are done with Deuteromycetes as well as the kingdom fungi. Quick revision, especially about the reproductive part. Let us do the vegetative part also. Only in Phycomycetes it is aseptate. बस यही याद रखना, बाकी के सारे septate भी है, branched भी है. अब aseptate है तो cynostatic kindly वहीं पे मिलने वाला है. What are the important examples? RAM, Rhizopus, albigo, mucor. Then ascomycetes. Ascomycetes में reproduction is vegetative reproduction. Phycomycetes में the asexual reproduction is endogenous. Ascomycetes में exogenous. Basidiomycetes में not present. Deuteromycetes में exogenous. Clear? Sexual reproduction is endogenous in Phycomycetes, endogenous in Ascomycetes, exogenous in Basidiomycetes, absent in Deuteromycetes. Clear? With the importance and this quick revision, we are done with fungi. Now there are two other kingdom. One is Plantae, another is Animalia. We are going to read in details about them in other chapters, but Plantae का क्या है? The important features of Plantae are their cell wall made of cellulose, presence of chlorophyll, autotrophs, right? And for animals, locomotion, heterotrophs, and बाकी उनका हम next दो chapters में animals और plants ही पढ़ेंगे. The one that I am going to go now is virus, virions, and prions. So after fungi, there are few more organisms given in your syllabus. अब हम एक के बाद एक वो देख लेते. So let's begin with virus. Virus को first time recognized by Dmitry Ivanovsky, where in tobacco plants. The tobacco plants that were suffering from the disease called tobacco mosaic disease. Okay, उनके पत्तों में he had recognized or he had discovered virus for the first time. Then M.W. Bajering, he had coined the term. उन्होंने फिर से उस disease को उसको study किया, and then what he found, he made an extract of the leaves that were suffering from the mosaic disease. Tobacco plant के पत्तों का which were suffering from the mosaic disease, he had made an extract and he put those extract into fresh leaves which were not suffering from the disease, and he saw that the same disease occurred there also. Then he coined the term contagium vivum fluidum, which means that the fluid is contagious. Clear hai? And then W.M. Stanley had crystallized virus for the first time, and he found the virus crystals to be made of protein. These are the three important discoveries about virus which are mentioned there. Now let's look what is virus. Virus is a non-cellular organism that are inert outside the living cell. इसका क्या मतलब होता है? Means when they are outside the cell, they don't show any lifelike activities. They don't replicate, they don't divide. Okay? For them to carry on the lifelike activities, which includes which involves multiplication or replication, they have to attack a living cell. वो उस लिविंग सेल को अटैक करते हैं. दे टेक ओवर द जेनेटिक मशीनरी. जैसे जैसे उस लिविंग सेल का जीन्स मल्टीप्लाई करते हैं, द डीएनए मल्टीप्लाइज or the genetic material multiplies of the living cell. Virus also multiplies itself, and that is where it causes the infection. Virus का जो infection, let us see in the structure of virus of it. Which part is infectious, we will get to know. Virus is structurally what? Structure of virus. No plasma membrane, no cytoplasm, no cell-bound organelles. It consists of protein plus the genetic material. Clear? What does the protein do? Protein is doing nothing but protein forms the outer covering which encloses the genetic material. तो structurally क्या है? एक cover, उसके अंदर the genetic material and nothing else. So proteins form the coat. Okay? अब coat में भी हमें दो coats किस तरह के structures हमें देखने को मिलते हैं? Let's see. Let's take the example of tobacco mosaic virus. इनका एक स्ट्रक्चर ऐसा होगा. I hope this looks like a tube, right? So the coat will be either like a tube enclosing the genetic material inside. Clear? Like this is the coat and this is the genetic material inside. So tobacco mosaic में this is the RNA और इस कोट को क्या बोलते हैं? कैप्सिड. And the individual members, the small members are called capsomeres. एक तो कैप्सिड का ऐसा ट्यूबुलर स्ट्रक्चर हो सकता है enclosing the genetic material, or in bacteriophages we get to see a polyhedral head. Let me draw a better diagram. Polyhedral, this is the collar और इसके अंदर the genetic material. This is the head. यहाँ पे ये spirally arranged है in the tube. यहाँ पे they form a polyhedral like structure. This is the collar. These are the tail fibers. ये bacteriophage का है. Okay. What is a bacteriophage? Bacteriophage are the viruses that attack bacteria, and this is TMV, tobacco mosaic virus, TM virus. Clear? How does the bacteriophage attack? Do you see the tails? वो tails से अपने आप को anchor करते हैं on the cell, and then they push the genetic material into the living cell, and the genetic material starts multiplying and infecting. अब हम आते हैं genetic material पे. So the genetic material is the infectious part of the, this is the infectious part of virus. Protein coat or the capsid has no role in causing infection. It is the genetic material. और वो भी तब when they are able to get into a living cell. Now the genetic material of a virus can either be RNA or a DNA. Any one. No virus has both the genetic material in them. Now one thing interesting about them is जो viruses plant को attack करते हैं, the viruses which attack the plant, their genetic material is always single-stranded RNA. Clear? And the ones which attack virus, they may either have a double-stranded DNA or a double-stranded, wait, let me write, single-stranded RNA for plants, okay? Plant virus. Double-stranded D is for double-stranded RNA for animals or double-stranded DNA. So animals में या तो RNA होगा या DNA होगा, and they'll be double-stranded. Single-stranded RNA only in plant viruses. And in bacteriophages also, it is a double-stranded DNA. Bacteriophage. So except plant viruses, animal viruses and bacteriophages have a double-stranded DNA. Okay? With this, we are done with virus. Now let us look at us. Oh, and these viruses are smaller than bacteria. Very important. They pass through the bacterial filters. इसके बाद है virions. Virions are said to be sub-viral. Sub-virus बोल सकते हैं, which means what? Their sizes are even smaller than that of a virus. Clear? Okay, and one more thing that I forgot to mention, the diseases caused by viruses. In humans, you know, AIDS is a very common disease, not common, it's a very serious disease caused by virus. Herpes, influenza, smallpox are some examples, and they also cause diseases in plants. One of the examples is tobacco mosaic virus, जिससे कि इसका discovery हुआ था. But then, what are the symptoms that plants show when they are infected by a virus? They involve leaf curling and yellowing, stunted growth, clearing and yellowing of vein, and then mosaic pattern. On leaves. So these will be very easy to remember. Mosaic tobacco mosaic plant से tobacco mosaic disease से इसका discovery हुआ था. So mosaic pattern on leaves is a symptom of viral infection in plants. For leaf and vein, yellowing is common. So yellowing of vein as well as yellowing of leaves. For vein, it is clearing, and for leaf, curling या rolling. आप rolling भी लिख दो. And stunted growth. Plant का growth कम हो जाता है. It has a stunted growth. Now let us look into virions. Okay? Let me wipe this off for you. Virions, prions, they are even smaller than virus. तो हमने सबसे पहले क्या देखा था? Bacteria. They were smaller, right? Smaller prokaryotes. फिर उससे भी small prokaryote क्या मिला हमें देखने को? Mycoplasma. Virus was smaller than that. Virions and prions are even smaller than virus. It was discovered by T.O. Diner in 1971 in potato plant that was suffering from the potato spindle tuber disease. Okay? So structurally it was found to be a free RNA. मतलब इनका genetic material is RNA and they don't have the proteinaceous coat also. And they are smaller than virus. So you can think that virions are virus minus the protein coat. Virus with RNA minus the protein coat. Right? फिर prions. It was discovered by Alper et al. In modern times, many neurological diseases were found. These were found to be the causative organism for many neurological diseases, and one such is bovine spongiform encephalopathy. Bovine means what? Cow, buffaloes, all these things. They are called bovine, right? Bovine spongiform encephalopathy is commonly called mad cow disease, and its human version is CR Jacob disease. Now prions was, ये तो free RNA था, ये उससे भी छोटा protein निकला. This is not even RNA, it is an abnormally folded protein. उसके बाद आते हैं lichens पे. Lichens you have studied earlier also in junior classes. So lichen is what? It is a symbiotic association between algae and fungi. इसमें autotroph कौन? The algae, and heterotroph the fungi. The algal component is called phycobiont and the fungal is called mycobiont. Fungi क्या करता है? It gives shelter to the algae in its mycelium. Okay? बड़ा सा mycelium है, चलो come and stay within the mycelium, and algae they make the food, and so this is how they both are benefited. Algae, in the algae which happens to form this association mostly belong to the family Chlorophyceae, या तो फिर they are the blue green algae. Clear है? And lichens are very good indicators of pollution. Lichens, we are done with lichens, prions, virions, virus, everything. Now one disadvantage of R.H. Whitaker's system is that you do not find mention of any of these in his system of classification. Okay. So with this chapter to khatam, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be plant kingdom, I think, if I'm not wrong. But before I leave, students, please like this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Your subscription will give me the motivation to make more such videos for you. Okay? Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next video.